Laurie Murison, Doctor of Science, honoris causa. Laurie Murison came to New Brunswick as a graduate student to research right whales and moved to Grand Manan in 1986 while completing her Master of Science degree in marine biology at the University of Guelph, Ontario. Over 4 decades, she has been an internationally renowned marine scientist and a pillar of marine life conservation in Atlantic Canada. In 1987, Murison became the executive director of the Grand Manan Whale and Seabird Research Station, and despite being from away, established herself as an integral member of the Grand Manan community. She accomplished this by leaning into and embedding herself in science, while actively working to understand how science could be made relevant to the larger community. Through her lifetime work as a naturalist, she repeatedly demonstrated how science could serve the long-term interests of local people, be it through teaching summer programs or by working with fishers to rescue whales caught in fishing gear. Murison's rapprochement of science and community created an unprecedented bridge between whale biologists and regional fishers. Her work with the Grand Manan Fishermen's Association fostered new respect and a new reality of coexistence between the natural environment and the fishing industry. She was instrumental in helping to design, implement, and fund pilot projects to test ropeless fishing gear and train fishers in rescuing ensnared whales. Ever the scientist, she used whale-watching trips to compile data on whales, basking sharks, and seabirds in the lower bay of Fundy through photographs and GPS coordinates. Those data serve as longitudinal evidence for major international research and have enhanced and inspired the work of researchers from across Canada and the world. This body of evidence from a single individual, collected over nearly 4 decades, is key to implementing evidence-based policies to protect marine wildlife. It was a major contributor to Transport Canada's unprecedented decision in 2003 to move the shipping channels in the Bay of Fundy to avoid the most frequented grounds of North Atlantic right whales, the first such rerouting of shipping lanes in the world. Laurie Murison's commitment to conservation also include Grand Manan's built heritage, as she led a group initiative to restore the Swallowtail Lighthouse from imminent collapse. Today, it is one of Canada's best-known lighthouses, and in 2020 was featured on a stamp by Canada Post. She was also an active member, consultant, and board president with the Grand Manan Museum. There, she wrote grants and contributed to displays, murals, and signage with a care to aesthetics, understanding the need to engage both the heart and the head. As a marine biologist, Laurie Murison has made wide-ranging and impressively interdisciplinary contributions to both New Brunswick, Canada, and the world. The longitudinal data she compiled over decades has helped scientists understand the impact of climate change on marine environments, enhance the safety of marine wildlife, and help the oceans reveal their secrets. Tourists from around the world who climb the steps of Swallowtail Lighthouse do not know that a local whale scientist was a critical moving force behind the site's preservation. People today marvel at the richness of Grand Manan's heritage, the balancing of the marine and the built environments, and the forging of ties between the local population and those from away. This understanding that scientists and fishers can work together in the interests of a healthy environment are all legacies given to us by Laurie Murison. For all these reasons, UNB is proud to posthumously award her the honorary degree Doctor of Science.
I really honestly can't imagine the Bay of Fundy without Laurie. She knew it so thoroughly.
Because she was just ever present on the water there in the Bay of Fundy and accumulating all these observations.
She'd give this great synopsis of weather, whales, fishermen, birds.
She was certainly a scientist, but probably more importantly, she was a naturalist.
She had just such a sure hand in her knowledge of that area.
Laurie, of course, she was well known for her work on whales, but as a matter of fact, she knew a lot of things. She had a very deep understanding of ecosystems.
I guess when I think of Laurie, I think Laurie's quite simply, she really is irreplaceable. She was one of those rare individuals who had vision, of course, but she also had the ability to quietly turn that vision into reality.
She wanted to get things done. She firmly believed in doing it yourself and getting it done. And so we did a lot of kind of repairs to the research station and trying to resource things for our research and conservation efforts that we would all do on our own.
There is not so many anymore generally. So a lot of people become specialists, and unfortunately they are missing the interaction between species. They're missing the understanding, the holistic approach of really understanding deeply ecosystems.
She had a keen understanding of the importance of relationship building, which is what conservation is all about, you know.
Such an extraordinary depth of knowledge.
I think of her most when she's smiling, and that was always when she was on the water with whales, always with a camera in one hand and binoculars in the other and a data sheet over here. And that would be when she would be in her happiest moments. It wouldn't matter how lousy the weather was or if there was fog. If she was on a boat and she could hear a whale, that was it for Laurie.
I can't help but smile when I think of Laurie.
This is a prominent individual who made substantial contributions to conservation in New Brunswick, really showed the connection between conservation and science and community and ocean users, and showed the way forward, how that could happen.
About a month before her death, Laurie was on a Grand Manan beach in lousy weather, cutting the head off a putrid dead gray seal for addition to the New Brunswick Museum Mammal Research Collection. And actually, this is the head from that seal. It's now been fully cleaned and is part of the museum's marine mammal collection.
She had a hand in lighthouse preservation and historic preservation and did a lot for that on the island. She had a lot of work going on with local fishermen and trying to think of ways to reduce whale entanglement in fishing gear. And so we've sort of lost several people without having Laurie in the area, and there is no way anybody can fill any of those shoes.